Summer Davos wraps up in China's Dalian city with innovation in focus. Business and political leaders say Asia must rethink its energy future as surging AI demand and geopolitical uncertainty reshape the next phase of growth. 3 days of high-level discussions at the World Economic Forum's Summit Davos have highlighted the urgency of Asia's energy transition, rising electricity demand from AI, geopolitical tensions in the Middle East, and Asia's continued reliance on imported fuels, all forcing governments to rethink their priorities. CNA's Tan Se-hui wraps up at Dalian with this report.
Asia's appetite for energy is only growing. Electricity demand across the Asia-Pacific is expected to jump nearly 60% over the next decade, driven by AI, data centers, and industrialization. But recent tensions in the Middle East have underscored the region's reliance on imported energy.
The challenge here is this. If we do not secure oil and gas from other countries, Asia is going to be short. And as a result, you do see a potential economic impact. I think a lot of focus is definitely going to be around energy security. It's going to be around where you secure your gas and oil from. And there is a fundamental question in terms of whether governments and policymakers would push for an accelerated, I would say in this case, energy transition, but more so deployment of alternative technologies to reduce oil and gas demand.
Analysts say the biggest bottleneck now is infrastructure and policy. That's as energy systems become more complex, with power generated not just from large centralized plants, but also increasingly complemented by alternate sources, such as smaller utility-scale rooftop solar panels.
One is renewable is intermittent, and you need storage, you need adequate investment in storage. I think related to that is you need adequate investment in transmission and distribution, not just generation of energy. And third is you need frameworks in place that make it very easy for investors to put in large amounts of capital, which they're only going to get a return on over a 10-year period. So stability of policy, simplicity of policy, competitiveness of policy versus other major competing regions is important.
From renewable energy cost to battery deployment, observers say China is increasingly becoming the defining factor in Asia's energy transition. The topic was also featured at the Summit Davos, where a panel examined China's energy system. As geopolitical tensions prompt countries to rethink their energy strategies, speakers said many are looking to China for lessons, with Chinese officials taking the opportunity to call for greater international cooperation.
The future of renewable energy is very broad for the whole world. So even we are at the very initial stage. There is opportunity for each country. The question is whether you have changed your attitude and you are ready to make investment and boost the development.
Success, analysts say, will depend on striking the right balance, tapping China's expertise and technology while strengthening local industries and diversifying supply chains. For governments across the region, the goal is not just a cleaner energy system, but one that's also more secure and resilient. Tan Se-hui, CNA, Dalian, China.
And among the countries rethinking their energy strategies is Mongolia. CNA's Tan Se-hui once more spoke with Minister of Digital Development, Innovation and Communications, Nomin Chinbat. She made the case for Mongolia becoming a regional hub for AI infrastructure.
This is a time in the world that data centers are evolving as well. If you think about it, it's now because of AI computing, the amount of data centers required and the amount of energy it requires is doubling, tripling. So it is a time that we all consider. And I think the world needs to look for a different location. So diversification of locations seems to be the area. So from Mongolia's perspective, when it comes to AI value chain, we believe that we will play a significant role when it comes to mineral resourcing, so resource sector, and then on top of it, also around the data storage. especially data center area. So we're positioning ourselves in a position where international data computing companies could bring their data centers into Mongolia. So we would like to position ourselves as a host country for data centers. We have a few advantages for that. First of all, we have a tremendous amount of renewable energy resources. On top of it, naturally cold climate. And our country is creating a legal environment that is very favorable towards investors. We're creating a policy that is called sovereign by design. So we're providing power sovereignty, network sovereignty, and data sovereignty, essentially digital embassy concept. So because of our resources in renewable energy, you'll be able to have a microgrid-based standalone energy resources. At the moment, as you probably know, that internationally to get connected to the central grid, it takes between almost 3 to 7 years. But building a renewable energy factory, it takes around 2 years, especially when you're connected to China, where the largest renewable energy, one of the largest renewable energy equipment producers. And so we're considering that whoever are wishing to penetrate into one of the largest market in Asia, which is China, there's a country that is land linked with China and has a potential for renewable energy, and also we're a neutral country, and then also we're non-aligned when it comes to data. So that's how the main reason.
You just described many unique advantages of Mongolia, for example, the cool climate. One key feature of Mongolia is also that you have a very young population. Nearly half of Mongolia's population are children and youth under the age of 25. Is that an advantage when it comes to AI adoption and Mongolia's digital infrastructure strategy, or is there more anxiety in terms of jobs and AI?
So actually, about 65% of our population is under 35 years old, and the fact that we are about 3.6 million people living, the adoption of any different technology has been quite fast in our country. For instance, within the last 4 years, we have digitized a lot of our government services. We have one platform called eMongolia, and it provides almost 2,000 services to Mongolian citizens across the country. We may be nomads, but we use our digital service very well. About 2.1 million of our country, our population is registered into the system. So there are, like you can order your driver's license to your passport, so it is quite easily adopted, and especially because we have the young generation adoption is pretty good. But I think when it comes to AI, we have to be very responsible. AI needs to be responsible, and also it needs to be also inclusive. On the other side, the talk and discussion in the international level and heads of the nations needs to be around how do we make sure that each culture and each country's language is preserved within an AI, and there's still the uniqueness of that country continues. So there is a lot more to be actually, in my opinion, figured out in a more senior level. But adoption and using of AI by youth is not going to be an issue, I think.